This is my June raised bed update. I have 3 raised beds and this is my top raised bed. All of what you see in this raised bed was started off as from seed indoors, then brought out and planted into the raised bed. We'll pan to the right and we'll go from right to left. What we've got growing here is a very short row of turnip. They've come on really well since I last put a video on my channel. These are 2 rows of dwarf broad beans. I think they're about 5 plants in each row. Since I last videoed, the flowers have dropped. I don't know if you can see that at all. The flowers have dropped, pods have started to form, and I've nipped out all the tops from these beans as a deterrent to black fly. If we go along, I hope you can see this row of beetroot nestling in here. Those are the beetroot that I germinated indoors and brought the germinated seeds out and planted them directly into the bed. That looks as though it's going to make a good row of beetroot. Next to the beetroot we have these parsnips, a row of parsnips. Again started indoors and brought out outdoors. You'll be able to see these timbers that I've got across, these odd pieces of wood. That's because this bed's fairly crowded, and what I've tried to do is keep the plants away from one another so one doesn't overcrowd the other. So I've tried to keep the leaves as vertical as possible so that they don't fall across and smother the neighbour. Just behind the parsnips you'll probably be able to see the tops of a row of leeks. That's a nice row of leeks growing on, and then past that 2 rows of carrots. They were a bit sparse originally, but I've put more seed into that row and they're doing okay. And then right at the very end another couple of rows of parsnips, and they're being swamped now by some potatoes that I've got in bags, and they're not actually in the raised bed, they're behind the raised bed, but they're falling forward. So I'll once I start harvesting those parsnips will get much more light. Now we'll go and have a look at the middle bed. Okay, this is the middle bed. Right at the front you can see I've got a courgette growing in the corner. I'm hoping to bring that courgette over onto this path and grow it down the path. Inside my little mini polytunnel there are a couple of small tomato plants, dwarf tomatoes. What we've got here are red and white shallots, and as you can see the tips are starting to go white. Perhaps these are ripening now, perhaps these are getting towards a point where they need to be lifted, but they're the shallots and they're doing quite well. Now further on there's a bit of a disaster unfolding. What I have there is I've got red skin and white skin onions, and there's about 40 of each, 40 white skins and 40 red skins. But of the 40 red skins I've had to remove at least 20 from the bed. That's half of the red skins, because they've either gone to seed or they've gone soft and they're no good, and I've had to throw them out. So unless somebody can tell me between now and next growing season how to grow red skins, I will not be growing red skin onions next year. This is my bottom bed. As you can see in this corner we have another courgette that's starting to flower. Again I'm going to try and bring that over onto the path. These are some potatoes I'm growing in pots. They're not actually in the raised bed, but I think they're in the shot. These are some little gem lettuces. They're ready to go now. And these are dwarf runner beans. Okay, these aren't as far on as the broad beans yet. They're just so starting to flower. So they're the runner beans. We just pan right. You can see that these lettuce have been growing now for quite some time. We've had a lot of lettuce out of there. They've been really nice. And then further on we have a row of spring onions. You can probably just see those poking their heads up. And then we've got some radish. You'll be able to see the radish, I hope. That's a row of radish. They're doing quite well. In fact, they should be eaten now. They grow that quickly, you can't eat them quick enough. And then we've got 2 rows of beetroot. They're starting to play catch up. Some of those are just so smaller than a golf ball at the moment. Then under the netting that you can see there, that's just keep the birds off. There's another row of carrots I've popped in, and then behind the row of carrots is a short row of leeks. And if you remember on my last video where the leeks were, there was some spring cabbage. They've been eaten now, and of course that's created space to put those leeks in. And then there are 4 Bunyard's Exhibition beans in there. Personally, I don't think they'll make very much. And then behind those, as you can see, there are all those potatoes in bags that are now starting to fall onto the beds. So the sooner I get those potatoes away, the better. Okay, so that's your June update. If you want to know how I sowed any of these, planted any of these, there are videos on my channel that you can go back and look at. Okay.